This is section 4.6, and we are looking at operations with mixed numbers. When we multiply with mixed numbers, we have to change them to improper fractions. And we will multiply the improper fractions and simplify to lowest terms. Answers greater than 1 may be written as improper fractions or as mixed numbers, depending on the directions of the problem. So we know that when we multiply fractions, we multiply across the numerators and the denominators. So we have to rewrite these as improper fractions. So we have numerators and denominators. So 7 times 2 is 14. Add 1 and we get 15 halves. 4 times 3 is 12. Add 2 and we get 14 thirds. And now we're going to multiply across the numerators and across the denominators. And I'm going to break these into prime factors. You do not have to do it this way, but you can. It helps when you go to simplify. And I'm going to divide out my common factors. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And I'm left with 35. So dividing mixed numbers, we will also have to change to improper fractions. So 7 times 2 is 14, add 1, and we get 15 halves. 4 times 3 is 12, add 2, and we get 14 thirds. Now, if you recall, we're going to keep the first fraction, change to multiplication, and the reciprocal of the divisor means we flip the second fraction. And then we are going to multiply across the numerator and across the denominator. So 15 is 3 times 5 times 3. And here I have 2. 14 is 2 times 7. So there's actually nothing to divide out here. And I'm left with 45 over 28. So when I add mixed numbers, as long as they have common denominators with the fractions, we can add the whole numbers and add the fractions. 5/9 and 1/9 is 6/9. And then we'll just reduce 6/9 to 2/3. To round a mixed number, we're going to look at the fractional part, and if the fractional part is half or more, we will round up, and if it's not, we will keep it the same. So we'll look to see if the numerator is half of the denominator or greater. So for example, when I have 6 and 9/16, we know 6 and 8/16 would be 6 1/2. So 6 and 9/16 would be more than 6 1/2, so that would round to 7. When we have exactly 6 1/2, we'll also round up to 7. So 1/2 or more, and we will round up. Okay, so we're going to estimate the sum and then find the actual sum. So 42 and 1/12. Remember, 6/12 is a half. So this is less than 42 1/2. So we will estimate 42. And when I look at 17 and 7/8, I know 17 and 4/8 is 17 1/2. So this is more than a half. So this is going to round up to 18. So my estimated sum is going to be 60. And now I'm going to find the actual sum. So I have 42 and 1/12 and 17 and 7/8. And I need a common denominator for my fractions. And if I count by 8s and 12s, I'll see that common denominator is going to be 24. So I will multiply by 2/2 and by 3/3. So I have 42 and 2/24, 17 and 21/24. So I'll add the fractions and the whole numbers separately. And 23/24 and 59. So you can see that my estimate is very close to my actual answer. All right, now we're going to subtract mixed numbers, and we'll estimate first and then find the actual difference. So 15 and 2/3 is going to round to 16. Half of 3 is 1 1/2. Since this is 2/3, it's more than a half. And 3/6 is a half, so 1/6 is less than a half. So that estimate is going to be 4. So my estimated difference is 12. And now I'll find the actual difference, 15 and 2/3 minus 4 and 1/6. So my common denominator is 6. So my first fraction I will multiply by 2/2. And that's going to give me 15 and 4/6. And then I can subtract 4 and 1/6, and I'll be left with 11 and 3/6, and I will make that 11 and 1/2, which is quite close to my actual answer of 12. And last, we'll look at some applications. So the average height of a 3-year-old girl is 38 1/3 inches. The average height of a 4-year-old girl is 41 3/4 inches. On average, how much does a girl grow between the ages of 3 and 4? So we're going to use subtraction, and we're going to subtract 41 3/4 minus 38 1/3, and we'll change to common denominators. And we'll have 3 5/12 inches. A construction site brings 6 2/3 tons of soil. Each truck holds 2/3 of a ton. How many truckloads are necessary? So if we need 6 2/3 tons of soil and a truck can hold 2/3 of a ton, we need to find out how many 2/3 are in this 6 2/3 ton. So this is division, and we start with the total 6 2/3, and we divide by the quantity each truck can hold, 2/3, and we have to again change to improper fractions. Then we will keep change and flip and do our multiplication, and we end up with 10/1 or 10 truckloads. And here are some problems for you to try.